Let me ask you a question. What is the official winds and temperatures aloft forecast? If you said FB winds and temperatures aloft, you're wrong. And the FAA agrees with me. Yet, this old school forecast still shows up on written tests, check rides, and flight planning discussions all the time. If the FB isn't the official standard, why does every pilot still learn it? To understand why the FAA effectively fired this forecast, we have to look at just how old this technology really is. If you're currently working on your private pilot certificate, you've probably always heard this forecast referred to as the FB winds and temperatures aloft forecast. But if you've been a pilot since before about 2005, you used to know it as FD winds. That FD label goes all the way back to the teletype days when weather was transmitted over text-only machines. The F most likely stood for forecast, while the second letter, originally D, now B, is basically arbitrary. Even though the designator changed, the format really hasn't, despite the fact that weather modeling has changed a lot since then. Originally, these forecasts were issued twice daily and covered 6, 12, and 24 hours into the future for a given region. Today, the models are run 4 times a day at 0000 Zulu, 0600 Zulu, 1200 Zulu, and 1800 Zulu, and the forecasts usually become available about 2 hours later. They still cover those same 6, 12, and 24-hour periods. These forecasts are broken into 9 regions, and within those regions are individual wind stations. Each station has a 3-letter identifier similar to a VOR. Today, there are more than 218 reported wind stations across the continental United States, Alaska, and Hawaii. The forecast itself is broken into 2 main sections, the header and the body. The header tells you when the data was gathered, when the forecast is valid, and what time period it covers. The body shows altitudes across the top and wind reporting stations down the left side. To use it, you find the row for the closest wind reporting station and the column for the closest altitude, and then you read the forecast at the intersection. And now a couple of really important notes. Most of the time, these forecasts start at 3,000 feet MSL and go all the way up to flight level 530. But there are some key limitations. First, winds are not forecast within 1,500 feet of the surface, and temperatures are not forecast within 2,500 feet of the surface. That's why in the continental US, the 3,000-foot forecast usually doesn't include a temperature. Hawaii and parts of the Western Pacific are the exception. Winds there may be provided as low as 1,000 feet MSL. You may also have noticed that 15,000 feet isn't included in the textual FB chart. The best explanation I've found for this is that the chart focuses on common cruising altitudes, but I haven't found an official FAA source to confirm that. If you know of one, can you please put it in the comments? Now, let's talk about decoding the numbers. This is where things start to really feel like code breaking. However, you do need to know it because you will see this on your written exam. Each entry follows the format DDSSTT. The first 2 digits are the wind direction in tens of degrees true. The next 2 digits represent the wind speed in knots, and the last 2 digits are the temperature in Celsius. Most of the time, you'll see a plus or minus sign to indicate whether the temperature is above or below 0. However, above flight level 240, all temperatures are assumed to be negative. So, if we look at the forecast for HSV or Huntsville, we can see that the winds at 9,000 MSL are forecast to be from 240 at 36 knots and plus 3 degrees. At 12,000 MSL, the winds change. They're now forecast to be from 260 at 39 knots and minus 2 degrees Celsius. Easy, right? What about GAG at flight level 300? What the heck direction is 74? Well, this is where it gets weird. If the wind speed is greater than 99 but less than 199 knots, the computer adds 50 to the wind direction and only reports the last 2 digits of the speed. So, anytime you see the first 2 digits greater than 40, you subtract 50 to get the actual wind direction, and then you add 100 to the wind speed. So, if you see 8205, that means the winds are from 320 degrees, or 82 minus 50, at 105 knots, 05 plus 100. Before I reveal the answer to GAG, pause the video right now and look at the code, 741145. Based on what I just showed you, what direction is the wind coming from and what is the wind speed? Go ahead, pause now and calculate the answer. I'll wait. Welcome back. Let's see how you did. Using the same process I demonstrated earlier, we can see that the winds over GAG are forecast to be from 240 degrees, or 74 minus 50, at 111 knots, or 11 plus 100, and negative 45 degrees Celsius. We know the temp is negative because we're over flight level 240. Did you come up with the same answer? Now, to make things even more confusing, if you see a forecast that consists of 9900 with a temperature, that means the winds are light and variable. And if winds reach 199 knots or greater, the speed is simply reported as 199 knots. So a 320-degree wind at or above 200 knots would appear as 8299. At this point, you might be thinking, why are we still using this? And honestly, that's a fair question. Imagine you're planning a cross-country flight. You calculated your fuel usage based on the FB winds, but remember, those data points can be between 100 and 150 miles apart. If the actual winds shifted between those points, that 45-minute fuel reserve you thought you had could actually be 15 minutes. And that's why understanding the limitations of this chart is at least as important as being able to decipher the code. There are really two reasons to use winds aloft data when planning a VFR flight. First, to make sure you have enough fuel. And second, to estimate your time en route so that you can compare it to the weather forecast along the way. But with the FB winds and temperature aloft forecast, you're almost never going to be flying at one of those forecast altitudes, and you're almost never directly over a wind station. So the real skill isn't memorizing the codes. It's choosing several nearby stations, interpolating between the stations and altitudes, and then using the least favorable winds for your planning. In both cases, pessimism is your friend. If the actual winds turn out to be better than forecast, that's great. If they turn out to be worse, at least you planned for it. So, let's go back to the original question. What is the official winds and temperatures aloft model? Well, according to page 27.3 of the Aviation Weather Handbook, there isn't one. Yes, you heard that right. There is no official winds and temperatures aloft model that pilots are required to use for flight planning. Different models use different update times, different altitude spacings, and even different locations for their data points. In fact, the FAA specifically calls FB winds archaic compared to modern model output. The handbook lists several reasons why. First, FB winds are only updated 4 times a day. So winds that differ from the forecast may not be updated for up to 6 hours. Second, they provide a single value for broad blocks of time rather than an hour-by-hour forecast. Third, the data points are spaced 100 to 150 miles apart. Meanwhile, modern tools like the rapid refresh model used in the graphical winds and temperatures aloft, they update hourly. They incorporate real-time airline data, and they provide wind forecasts on grids spaced as close as 9 miles apart. So, now you know the story behind the infamous FB winds and temperatures aloft forecast. But for more reliable flight planning, you need to understand the modern tools available today. If you watch this video next, I'll show you exactly what those tools are and how to use them. As always, thank you for watching. Fly safely, and I will see you next time.